Hi and welcome. So this is a sequence that I shared with some clients today in a private session here, and I thought it might be a good one for anyone that deals with any kind of neck issues, shoulder girdle instability, uh, kind of trigeminal nerve issues, vagus nerve issues, facial nerve compression. So that actually all refers to the nerve that originate in our cranium, so the cranial nerves. And this is a sequence where we will need as tools, ideally the large soft melt ball, the squishy one, and then also a half roller. And the half roller will basically use as almost like a pillow a little bit, but we also use it as a tool as we will be shearing the base of our skull. With the ball, we will actually do a facelift treatment, and this is a mix of the facelift treatment as well as um, the neck release sequence. So what we want to do first, before we get started with this, is H2O, take a sip of water. I'll do that. This is often ideally a treatment that we don't go right jump into it, especially if our neck hurts. You would do a rebalance sequence beforehand or a hand treatment at least, or you could do an upper body compression sequence or an upper body length sequence. And if you have no idea what that is, check it out on either meltmethod.com or come contact me, and I do sessions in classes as well as with people one-on-one. So the MELD method revolves around doing an assessment first. So that is really the most important. We will not do a whole assessment here. What we will concentrate on is just assessing the upper part of our body. And also the body position for that will be a little bit different than in a general rest assess. So we're going to take the roller out of the way. You're just going to lay on your back. And actually, I'm going to bring the camera down with me a little bit so that it's easier, you're a little bit closer. And so when I'm laying down on my back, the assessment is that I close my eyes, I tune into my body. I first want to notice and discern, is the tip of the nose straight up towards the ceiling or off to one side or the other? To me, it feels like the tip of the nose in me today is slightly tipped to the right, and my right ear is closer to my right shoulder than the left. And so I know that already, but when I start a movement, which is just rolling my head left and right, I also feel that there is a little bit of restriction in my neck area. And oftentimes, what we're not aware of is that the neck has nothing to do with that, but the culprit of this restriction is in our shoulder girdle. So notice how your shoulder blades are rested on the floor, ideally flat and wide. Ideally, your arms are evenly rested. Ideally, the collarbones are up nice and wide, and you have an easy time breathing into your chest. And then we're going to stop the assessment for this sequence right here. So now that we have done an assessment, we're actually going to come onto the roller. And I'm going to place myself such that you can ideally see what I'm doing with my ball here. So first I want to make sure the roller's in the right place, ideally right at the base of the skull. So there's two nubbins that are sticking out behind your ear. And if you connect those through a straight line, that is kind of where the roller is interfacing with your head, yeah? So I'm going to start with my ball in the right hand, and I'm going to let my head roll to the left. And I'm going to pause here. So here my earlobe or my ear is barely touching the roller. And this is just for ease of access. I'm going to take my ball now and I'm going to place it behind the ear at the base here where that sticky outie bone is, called the mastery process. And I'm really lightly putting the ball on my skin. And then I'm going to twist my skin over the underlying bone by holding onto the ball and twisting just the skin, just enough pressure to hold onto the skin to twist it. So I'm not pushing into the bone. If anything, I'm just grabbing the skin. I'm thinking about grabbing the skin and twisting it away from the bone. So now we're going to pause. And with that compression here in our pause, we're going to wring out the tissue a little bit. And the compression is tiny, so you're just adding a little bit of pressure. Then I'm going to go to my jaw joint, also known as the TMJ. It's a little divot here right in front of your ear, and you're going to do the same thing. So you're going to have just enough pressure that you can grab the tissue, and you're twisting your skin over the underlying bone. After you do that 6 to 8 times, then you're going to pause, and then you're going to open and close your jaw a few times while you have slight pressure in the ball onto the joint. And I have been doing the opening closing while I'm talking and using my jaw. So then I'm going to release the pressure, and my next point is on the temple. So either here you can work and do the same motion where you're twisting the skin over the underlying bone, and you have to be really careful. This can be very tender. There's very superficial nerves and the blood vessels, so be careful here. If that's too tender for you right there, then just go a little bit further back. And here you can also grab the hair a little bit and create circles, just displacing the overlying skull cap over the underlying cranial bone. That's another opportunity to work on your muscles that operate the molars in your mouth. And some people can accumulate a lot of stuck stress, especially if you're a clencher. And then you're going to pause with a compression. And then we're going to go back to the place where we started, right behind the ear down here. So I'm going to my mastoid process, slight pressure. I'm starting the twisting motion. Once I do that 4 or 5 times, then I'm going to follow my muscle here, which is called this SCM muscle, which when I lift my head, you can see it stick out. So that muscle I'm going to follow down as it's relaxed. And I'm going to, from one attachment up here from its origin, and then to the attachment on the clavicle here. And I'm going to do that one more time. So I'm opening up the channel here a little bit, and then I'm going to come out to the side. And then we're going to go back to our face treatment. So now that I open this up, now I can use the ball starting from my third eye, coming up. I'm not only pressing the ball down and sliding it, I'm also turning it. So I'm turning it as I grip the skin and pull on it. And with every pass that I started at the eyebrow in the center, I go lateral until I come to the eyebrow on the side. And from there, I go towards my ear. You can repeat that up if you want. It actually feels really good. And then you can also start then working from the side of the nose, drawing out to the ear. With every pass, you're going a little bit lower. Think about painting your face, and you're just covering. With every stroke, you're going to go further until you get to the mandible, which is your lower jaw, and drawing up towards the jaw joint. Then again, you go behind the ear, twisting. And you go all the way along the SCM muscle, all the way down to the clavicle, which is your collarbone. And then here, you're going to draw the tissue lateral, draw it lateral. So here's my collarbone. I'm right underneath. And I'm working my lymph fluid towards my axilla. Then I do the last 3 fingers. And I start in the middle of the forehead, brushing out and back, brushing from the center of my face towards my ear, on anywhere on the face. Then I come to the side of the neck, and I go anterior forward. I repeat that twice. And then from the collarbone, sternum area, I go out. And then we're going to repeat that same thing on the other side, of course. So on the other side, same thing, what it looks like. I bring my left ball right behind the ear, and I'm going to start twisting. So you can see what my head placement is like better here against the roller while I'm working with the ball, just because of a different perspective. That's why I'm not changing my overall position, so you see it from different sides. And then you're going to pause here and take a focused breath. I'm going to go up to my jaw joint, same thing. I'm going to start twisting the tissue over the underlying bone and joint. And again, it's 6 to 8 times for this, a direct shear. And then I keep compressing and I open, close my jaw, which I'm doing anyways because I'm talking to you right now. And then I wait. Then we're going to bring the ball up towards the temple. And you're going to twist here. Find a place that's comfortable. So if you're uncomfortable everywhere, go as far back as being above the ear. No problem with that. You can even grab the hair and move the entire piece of tissue around, literally locking in the ball in that superficial fascia. Or if you can tolerate the compression here. That's great too. And then you wait for a second. Go back to the jaw, because we forgot to do the open close a little bit. Like this is what it looks like. I wanted to show you. So when you're not talking and you do the open close, it's actually a small movement. It's not huge opening closing. And then you're going to come with your ball down towards behind the ear. And I have my eyes closed the entire time. I'm not to be rude, but because that's how you ideally are working eventually. So you might be watching this video, but then eventually you want to have your eyes closed completely. And then you're going to work the ball down that SCM muscle all the way down to the collarbone in the center. And then drawing out fluids. And then we go back to the face. So I'm going to go up from my third eye to my hair. And each line I make is parallel to the first one, except for I go lateral, 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 and then it tips down and I go towards the ear. I repeat that. And then I go out from my nose to the ear. And I paint my face in essence with the ball until I reach the mandible. And then from here, we're going to go down along the SCM muscle again. And then from here out. Then I'm going to do the fingers. So they lightly brush out to the side, out to the side, out to the side, back from the base of the neck here, forward, and then out to the side. So now we're going to do a little bit of work on the roller. So you can take your ball away. I'm making sure with a lifted nose, I can turn my head left and right. And the roller stays. And I'm going to keep tip to the left. And I'm just going to small lift and lower the tip of the nose. There's no pressure into the roller other than the weight. And my muscles are relaxed in the throat and palate. And then you're going to rest. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So you're just tipped off center. I'm on the mastering process. So we start with the ball as well. And then we're going to just slightly tip up and down. Again, the direct shearing like this, it's done generally by 6 to 8 movements back and forth. We come back to a center position. In the center, imagine this is the center of a bow tie pasta piece, and you're now tracing the outline of that piece 3 times in one direction. And go nice and slow. And then 3 times in the other direction. And now we're back in center. Resting. There was a longer pause, just resting here. And we're going to bring the back of the roller now up towards the middle of the back of the head. And I'm going to start with a lifted nose. You're going to inhale here, and on your exhale, you're going to draw your belly in and then create length in the back of your neck while you're not shortening here too much. So no tucking of the chin. You're going to inhale again, and on the exhale, you're going to draw the belly in and just let the sides of the throat come back to the floor. Last time, inhale. Exhale, tip of the nose comes down. We're going to take the roller out. We're going to do an assessment. Ideally, as you roll your head left and right, you can feel much more freedom. You use just some WD-40 in your neck area. That would be ideal. And ideally, another thing that might have happened for you as an indirect change is when you're resting down, your shoulder blades are flatter and wider, and ideally your collarbone as well. So that is a facelift treatment combined with a neck release treatment, and I hope you will have fun with it. Thank you.